What's up, fam? Um, Today I wanted to speak on reparations. Um, when people talk about reparations for the enslaved people of North America, speaking specifically of the African Americans, they had families that were enslaved, brought here from Africa and other places. Um, they talk like reparations is some big obscure thing. It's not. They can pinpoint how much money the enslavers made, and they know, when I say they, I mean the country, the government. They know which families were involved in slavery, and they know who made that money. And the thing about that makes it so tangible is that the families who benefited from that are still benefiting today. So just to put it in perspective, those families that participated in the enslavement of black people, African Americans, that are families that are still here, those families are still around and they're benefiting off of interest and monies that was built up by their families years ago. That money was never taken from them. That money never disappeared. Those same families participate in our politics and in our financial institutions and everything else just to keep up and keep that money supplying their families continuously. So they invest in corporations and all of these sorts of things. So people say that, well, you can't pay that money back. That's not true. Another argument is that how would you be able to pin down and pinpoint what is owed to African American people here in North America of the enslaved families? And who would get this money? Because not everyone was enslaved. Not every family was enslaved. I get that. But there are ways to do that. There are ways, just like there are ways that the United States government know if I don't pay my taxes every year, and I will be charged penalties if I don't pay my taxes every year. They have records of who was making money at that time, where that money went, who had it, all of that kind of thing. So if they really wanted to take that money back and give it to those families, they know exactly where to get it from, and they could take it. They could take it just as clearly as they can garnish a check of your wage right now if you did something wrong. Another argument is, well, there's no argument. Everyone knows that enslavement was the greatest atrocity in North America. Everybody knows that. They clearly understand that. But a lot of times the argument comes up is like, why should I have to pay? Meaning the families that enslaved other people. Why should I have to pay today for something my fathers and forefathers did ages ago? My answer to that is simple. It was a crime. And any criminal in the United States should be charged as a crime. And because it was a crime, you are not owed those freedoms and those monies. It was stolen. And so because it was stolen, it could just as easily be taken away from you today. Those families are benefiting from the pain and suffering of others. I think one of the things that people truly misunderstand is the scale of this. I was recently in Washington, D.C., and I went to the African American Museum where they actually showed records of slaver ships and different things, and where these ships went, where they ported, how many slaves they sold, where these family members went. Naturally, a lot of the names were changed over time. But for the most part, slavery was the biggest economic advantage to this country than any other thing you can imagine. And back in the day, it would surpass the trains, the transportation, the automotive industry, Everything that we've done since, it surpasses all that. The banks, everything. There was more money made in slave trade than anything else. So everything that you see that goes on between the Democrats, the Republicans, and the independents, and all of them squabbling over power, it's not meaningless. There's a point to it. But I don't think this nation could ever be what it's meant to be until they deal with this one thing. And that's reparations to the African Americans of the families who were enslaved, and giving back to them what they deserved, and taking away from those who didn't deserve it. You know, our nation never did that. In fact, they did just the opposite. After slavery, the United States government paid the enslavers instead of compensating those who needed that money and giving money to those they took their freedom from. Now, I know a lot of people don't understand this next thing I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Just to use this as an example, every year, the United States government gives money and allowances to certain groups of people. So it's not unheard of that we have some sort of reparation that's going on, whether it's an assistance to farmers or different things like that. They give millions upon millions of dollars to different groups of people every single year. I believe reparations need to be a part of that. I believe that it's essential. I believe that conversation needs to be had. I don't think this nation should go without doing that. And last but not least, it's not a handout, people. This was money that was deserved to those families, and it was never given back. I want you to understand that. This isn't some fascist, socialist, this and that. The government stole from this people, and they need to give that back. That's common sense. That's the law. You don't steal from someone. And so don't think that somebody's asking for a handout, because their families deserve what, they shouldn't have had to work for free all those years for free.